Today we're going to look at finding the missing side length of a right triangle that is not the hypotenuse. So when we found the hypotenuse, it was easy to just say the two sides that I know are A and B, square them, add them together, take the square root. But now we're going to have to stop and think, which one of the sides am I missing? Where does it go in the formula? And then do a little bit different solving. So in this example that we have, we can see that the side that we're missing is A. So now we just have to decide which one is B and which one is C. Well, we know that C is always going to be the side length that's across from the 90-degree angle, thinking about this 90-degree angle square as an arrow pointing at our C. So we know that 10.4 is our C, so that makes 9.6 our B. So now we just have to put them in the right place in A squared plus B squared equals C squared. So obviously A we don't know, so we just have A squared plus, we decided 9.6 is our B, so we put 9.6 squared here, and then it needs to equal whatever C is squared. C is 10.4, so we have 10.4 squared here. So this looks a lot like what we did with the hypotenuse, except now we have something on this side and something on this side that we can simplify. We're going to go through the steps the same way. We're going to go ahead and do those squareds. We don't know what A squared is, so it stays there, but 9.6 squared is 92.16, and 10.4 squared gives us 108.16. So now, instead of being able to combine the two things that we have, we just have to use our solving steps. We know if I want to get A squared by itself, and there's a plus 92.16 on the same side, I need to subtract 92.16, and I have to do it on both sides of the equation. So now that I have that done, I know that A squared is going to equal 16. So the last step is to get rid of the squared. We know to get rid of squared, we have to take the square root. Got to do it to both sides. The square root and the squared cancel each other out. So all we have left is A, and the square root of 16 is 4. We go back and look at our label. It's 4 meters, and that's our final answer. And it makes sense because these two sides need to be shorter than C. 4 is shorter. It's also shorter than this one, so it makes sense as an answer. Okay. The other kinds of problems you're going to be solving are compound figures. So with compound figures, sometimes they give you enough information, but it's not all written in exactly the place where you would want it to be. So in this example, we are trying to find the missing side length of this triangle, but if you look, we have this side, we don't know this side, and right now we don't have an answer for this side. But because it's part of this square, we can tell this is a square because these 4 sides all have the same line on them. That means those are all the same length. So if this side is 20 yards, then that means that this side is going to be 20 yards also. So now we have A and B, and X is going to be our C. So we can use the Pythagorean Theorem to figure it out. So we just do 20 squared plus 21 squared equals X squared. Now this would work just the same if it was, the hypotenuse is the one that we were given, and we need to figure out one of these two sides. We would do it the same thing as we did up here. Either A is what we don't know, or B is what we don't know. But in this case, it just happens to be the hypotenuse that we don't know. So when we do the math, we do 20 squared is 400 plus 21 squared, which is 441, and it equals X squared. When we combine those two, we get 841 equals X squared. To get rid of the squared, take the square root of both sides. That cancels out the square root and the squared, and we get X equals 29 yards. And that will be our final answer for that one. So remember, if you have a figure that you're missing the A or the B, the only difference is where we plug in the numbers that we know, and then instead of being able to combine, when we're finding C, we just have to subtract one of them on both sides, but the last step is always going to be to take the square root. Don't forget that step, and take your time, look at your answer, make sure that it makes sense before you submit it.